to my video. I'm Vinudhi Wahalathanthri and I'm here with my 5th question set from the DBMS question series. So this video explains how to create a database using MySQL Workbench or HeidiSQL software and create tables using customized databases. The insert query statement is used to insert the data into the tables in the database. And we'll be also talking about how to write an insert query in this video. So let's see what are the questions we have to answer regarding this question set. The Board of Directors of the New Vision Academy has decided to computerize the information of all the teachers in the educational institution. The software is being developed by Taraka Software Solution. Assume that you're working as a senior software engineer in this company and you and your team are responsible for creating the database of this software. Create the database according to the instructions given to you as follows. So now they have told us to create the database for this New Vision Academy. So now let's see what are the instructions given to create this database. So our first instruction given is create a database called New Vision Academy to store the teacher's data. So now we have to create the database with this name. So in this video, we don't have to create this using an ER diagram, so we can create this database graphically. So due to that, I'll be creating this database using HeidiSQL. So now, okay, so I have opened my HeidiSQL. So now let's begin to create this database. So I'll go to our File tab and now let's create, so I'll right click on our main database and let's create a new database over here. So now this is my create new database model. So let's see what our database name should be. Our database should be called as New Vision Academy. So now let's give the name as New Vision Academy and now let's OK it. So now our database has been created. So now let's see whether it's created. So we'll go down and see, yes, our database has been created, but there are not any tables made yet. Let's see what our next instruction is. This software has a table called teacher to store the teacher's data. Follow the instructions given to create it. So now over here, they have given us to create the table called teacher to create the teachers, to store the teacher's data. So now according to these specific column names, the data types and the length, let's create this table. So let's go to our HeidiSQL and begin to create this table teacher. So on our database, let's right click and let's create new table. So now let's give our table name as teacher. Okay, so now we have given a table name and now let's begin to add our columns. So our first column given is the teacher register number. Our data type is watcher and the length is 10. So now likewise we have to create the first name, last name, gender, contact number and email. So according to these columns, what will our primary key will be? So according to these columns, the teacher register number will become our primary key. Why? To find the teacher uniquely, the teacher register number will be useful. So therefore, our primary key will be this teacher register number. So now let's begin to create it. So I'll give our name, our column name as teacher register number, and I'll give the data type as watcher, and I'll set the length as 10. Okay, so now I'll give it as our primary key. So how do we give the primary key? We right click on our name, create new index and set our key. So I'll give it as primary. So now over here in our indexes, y'all can see that the teacher register number is our primary key. Okay, So now let's give our default value as no default. Okay, so like this method, let's create our other columns as well. So likewise, I have created our columns. So now let's save it. Okay, so now our table has been saved. So let's see how it's viewed in our data. So we'll go to this data tab. Okay, so likewise, it's created. So now let's begin to see what our next instruction is. Enter the data shown in the table below in the database table you have set up above. Do not use the graphical method when entering the data here. All data must be entered from the query statements. So over here, we can't enter the data graphically. So over here, we have to enter the data using query statements. So in this video, I'll be showing y'all how to type a query to insert data to these tables and columns. Okay. So I'll go to my HeidiSQL, and over here we have an option called query. So in case the query option is not opened, we can go to this query tab over here and we can click on this new query tab and then a query will be opened for y'all. So now let's see how we can add this data to this table. So now let me show y'all how to create this query. So before that, let me take this to a side so y'all can see it clearly. And I'll zoom it. Okay, so now I hope y'all could see it clearly. Okay, so now I'll show y'all how to type this query. So over here, we'll be using an insert query as we want to insert data. So because of that, we'll start the insert query. So if we are searching for something, we can use the search query. So if it's something to delete, we can use the delete query. Or if it's something to update, we can use the update query. So therefore, as we are going to insert, we are going to use the insert query. So I'll begin to insert. I'll type insert into, and now let's give our database name. So our database will be New Vision Academy dot. Okay, so now our tables will be loaded once we click the dot, and I'll give teacher, and I'll give our values as. So I'll give our first value. So we have to give these inside single commas. So we'll give our first value TEC and 001. So that will be our first value. Our next value is going to be Kamara. So that's our next value, comma. Next, our value is Malabar. And next, we'll give it as mail. And then the contact number is, so I'll copy it from here. This, so I'll insert it inside these two single commas. Next, we should insert the email. So I'll give the email as kamara@gmail.com. Okay, so that's our values. So now we can execute this query. So let's see what happens once we execute this query. So to execute this query, y'all can see that over here we have an icon which is quite similar to the play button. So once I click on it, so I'll give it in. So I'll now execute it. Okay, so I removed one single comma from here, so I have mistakenly added one. So now I can execute this. So using this play button, I can execute it. So now y'all can see that it has been executed successfully, but we still don't know whether the data is added. So let's go to our table and see whether the data has been added successfully. So now I'll minimize this and we'll make this big, and let's go to data and see whether our data has been added. So success, our data has been added. So this is how you can write an insert query. So insert into new vision academy.teacher where the values are equal to these values. So likewise, let's add our other values as well, like this. Okay, so our next value is Champika with this teacher register number and this last name, gender, contact number, and email. Let's begin to add these. So again, we'll write an insert query, insert into new vision academy dot teacher, and we'll give the values. I'll give this, and now we'll insert our values inside this. So likewise, I have typed the queries of these data. So again, to revise how to type a query, I'm going to show you how I'm going to type this last data. So let's again type, I'm going to type the insert into new vision academy dot teacher, and I'll give the values, and I'll give our bracket, semicolon, and now we'll begin to add our data. So our first one is TEC underscore 045. So TEC underscore 045, and our next one is Tilina, and I'll give our next one is Rajapaksha, Tilina Rajapaksha, and the gender is male. Next, I'll give the contact number, so I'll copy it from here and I'll paste it from this query in this query, and our next one is going to be the email, so I'll give it as Tilina dot Rajapaksha at gmail.com. So that is how we can type this insert query. So I hope you understood what I explained. So now let's execute it. Okay, so what's our error? Okay, so I got an error because I executed this first query before. So once I execute it again, so then as data is going to be duplicated, so that's why I got the error. So now let's see what happens when I execute it. And let's reload this and see whether our data has been added. So success, our data has been added successfully. So this is how we can type an insert query. So I hope you understood what I explained. So that's all for this question set. So I hope you understood what I explained. So I will be back with another video. So until that, stay tuned. Have a nice day. Thank you and bye.